how to get a job. Pick a specialism and master that and know the best practices and pipelines for that. So decide which one it wants to do. Say you wanted to be a UI artist, VFX artist, lighting artist, whatever it was. Decide which one it was you want to do. Pick that specialism and start working on it and start learning everything you possibly can from that. Your portfolio is the most important thing as an artist. When we got applications, we get loads of applications every week, all the time. When we get applications, the very first thing we look at is the portfolio. That is absolutely, I don't look at CV, I don't look at your cover letter, I don't really look at your name particularly. I don't know anything about you. I look first of all at portfolio. What is your art work like? Do we want to take this any further? So really, really think about spending time on your portfolio. So quality, not quantity, so choose just a few key pieces of the artwork that you love the most. Have a CV. And you know, try and make sure no spelling mistakes, that it's easy to read, that it's quite simple, not too long, just kind of quite simple, just tells me enough about you. But add a portfolio link to your CV. You wouldn't believe how many, I reckon I get 10% of the applicants who apply to us don't have a portfolio link in their CV. So I can't see what their artwork's like, so they're immediately rejected, because without seeing the artwork, you know, I can't tell anything about them. So make sure you always apply your portfolio link on your CV. Make sure you love games. I think it's important to love games if you want to work in a games company. You don't have to, but I think it helps. You know, you want to have an interest in the product that you're making. And also, the company that you're applying for, make sure you like their games. So there's no point in applying to a company who make golf games if you're not interested in golf games, for example. Be prepared to do art tests. Most companies do ask you to do an art test. Ours is about 3 days long of work. I do know some companies who do 3 weeks long of work. And there was one artist I heard of who I know who actually ended up doing 3-month-long separate art tests for a company and then didn't get the job at the end of it. So that's a huge art test. But most places do art tests. Try and embrace it and sort of think about the fact that at the end of it, you'll have a piece of art you could put in your portfolio that you can, you know, it's another piece of art to share and it's a new challenge. Be persistent. Just keep sending out speculative applications. So just, you know, send stuff through to people. We have one of the artists who answered these questions. She had just graduated. We didn't have any adverts going for junior associate artists. She just sent an application in to us. I looked at her portfolio and went, oh, wow, that's great artwork. Let's meet her. We met her and she started the next week. So we weren't looking, but her art was so good and she was just the right person and the right fit. And we did actually have a bit of room on a project we could have done with an extra person. And she got a job with us just by doing speculative applications. So never be scared. The worst that happens is you don't get a reply, but just keep sending your CV and your portfolio out to people. Be prepared, though, for knockbacks and the hard work. You know, we've all been there, you know, all of us, everybody who's ever had a job knows that you get lots of knockbacks and you have to keep trying, but that's what happens. Research the company you're applying for. Make sure it is the kind of company you want to work at, that they don't have a reputation, for example, for maybe being not that nice to work with, or that they do the kind of games you want, all of that sort of stuff. It's always worth thinking about, either in your portfolio or if you get a chance for an interview, somehow or other explaining how you've worked as a team. Because making games is very much teamwork. Like Ibrahim was saying before, you know, programmers, designers, artists, we all work as a team all the time. So you're always working alongside other people. So anytime you've ever worked as a team, whether it's college stuff, whether it's a part-time job you've done or anything like that, worth sort of saying, I was part of this team and this was the role I played and this, you know, I really enjoyed this aspect of teamwork. So that's really worth mentioning to people. And look to see if you get, this is probably more aimed at people perhaps who are doing a degree, but once you reach a certain point and you think you can get work, look for part-time work initially, even if you can't get full-time work. And VR games do tend to take people on part-time. So that's the area I'd look at, you know, just trying to get in on VR games because they'll take people on a short-term contracts. And network. So I don't know whether you've heard of game jams, but game jams are like, you probably have, but game jams are like a brilliant opportunity for you to kind of work as all the different departments working together, creating a game and stuff. Really, really, I think really great experience. When I see people who've worked on game jams, it does make me kind of go, they understand the kind of process, the pain that you go through, but the fun that you go through. Networking events, there's lots of stuff in Manchester. So like you've probably heard of Gameopolis and stuff that happens, but there's lots of like groups that meet of people who all make games together and stuff. So network with people or connect with people on LinkedIn or Discord or all of those kind of things, and go to recruitment events, you know, meet up with people. There are various conferences that happen as well. Just find, you know, just join in with anything, like things like this, you know, meeting up with other people who are interested in making games, network with them, get to know them, because you never know, there might be somebody that one day you end up kind of going, oh, we could make a game together, or, oh, I remember you from that, you know, and it's really good to get that networking going.